Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Masoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to Masoni and Marshall, the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journey of food entrepreneurs. We're glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce.
And Sarah Masoni of Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center. Hi, Sarah Marshall.
Hey, Sarah Masoni. I have something that I just realized today. I was getting things ready for today's show. We are very quickly approaching our 200th episode.
Oof.
Can you believe it?
Is that the bicentennial of this podcast?
I think so.
Maybe we should make a commemorative quilt or something and like hang it in the library.
Do you know how to quilt? Because I sure don't.
We can figure it out.
I think we should do something for sure. So I just wanted to bring it up because we're a couple of episodes away, and I think we should do something exciting for our 200th
Maybe we should
episode.
do like that thing you did with the Sauce Group where you did that song.
Yeah, we should record a music video.
Yeah, let's do a music video with people that have interviewed with us, whoever wants to.
I think we should do something. I don't know if
I think
everybody
our guests today would
do
do it with us, actually.
Probably. I think so. I think they'd be down. I think a lot of our guests would be down to do something fun like that. So
that would be so great.
Let's try to figure that out. We don't have a lot of time, but I bet we could do something rad.
That's a great idea.
I don't really have any food news. Do you, Sarah?
The only news is I'm back at work after taking quite a bit of time off in July, which was really refreshing for me. I'm glad to be back today. It's a Monday here, and I got here at 7:45 and I was the first person in the building.
You were like ready to roll. You're like, I'm back from vacation. I'm refreshed and I'm getting started. Where is everybody?
That's right. I was like, where is everyone? What's going on here?
Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm sure everyone there is glad that you're back, and it's.
I
nice
got
to see
some
you.
hugs. Even I got
Ooh,
some hugs.
That's when you really know you're loved at the university.
Yeah, he's back.
Well, we have been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring you guests from the 6 state regions, and we're currently meeting business owners from the great state of Idaho. We would like to welcome our co-host Janna from University of Idaho. Thank you for being our Idaho guide, Janna.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to know what is growing and what's going on at the farmers markets in Idaho right now.
So it's been warm for the past few weeks. We've been having some over 100-degree temperatures here in southern Idaho, not quite as high in northern Idaho. So it's been some warm farmers markets. Those are the ones where you're like really happy when they have ones that are in tree covered areas and such to get a little bit of relief from the heat. But mostly, the produce and everything's coming in, and a lot of prepared foods and jellies and jams and things like that are still here, and our spice mixes and then those kinds of products are still showing pretty good at the farmers markets here locally.
Perfect. I do think in this kind of weather, it's very nice to have a shade covered area. I have done many a farmer's market in the hot sun on a blacktop, and it's not ideal.
Yeah, so some of our areas we're in some of the farmers markets are in parks or are in like school fields. We've got a few that are in like soccer fields and football fields, and so they've got a little bit of cool because of the grass. But then we've got some farmers markets that are in parking lots, and I always feel for those in this kind of warmth because it's pretty warm out there right now.
Well, thanks for keeping us updated on what's going on in Idaho. We always like to hear what's going on. We would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. You just go to the Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. And we want to thank our sponsor for supporting Masoni and Marshall. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. I would like to introduce you today to Lad and Zoey. They are the co-owners of Roots Potato Chips, making kettle-cooked potato chips in Idaho. We're delighted to have you both on the show today. Welcome.
Hi, we're excited to be here.
So excited. Thank you.
We always like to connect our listeners to you in person and online. So what's the best way for people to find you on social media?
We're on Instagram at Roots Chips, and that's pretty much our name for all social media handles. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. It's all under Roots Chips.
Yep. And then our website's rootschips.com.
And we always like to start at the beginning of your business. So what inspired you to start a potato chip company?
So Lad and I met 12 years ago, and he's a 4th-generation farmer. And we met when I was almost done with nursing school. I was going to go off work as a nurse, but he brought me back to the farm and decided to get married, and now we're farming. And was it a few years ago, we wanted to add value to our farm, trying to integrate the farm and have a product to provide. And we also love snacking in our home. We have 4 little kids, and we love to snack, but we also prioritize better for you snacks. We want good for you ingredients, healthy oils, no artificial colors, artificial ingredients. And then we also are really passionate about farming. And so from there, Roots Chips was born. It's a farm to bag, farm fresh potato chip with good for you ingredients. Anything to add to that?
Yeah. And a lot of it started, just to echo what she said, farming in traditional commodity markets is very volatile. And prices fluctuate, and it can be very difficult to farm like with traditional commodity markets. So a lot of it was we wanted to vertically integrate, like Zoe said, we wanted to add value or have a place to go for our potatoes. So that was some of the big reasoning we decided to start Roots Potato Chips, is to have an outlet for a higher value potatoes and be able to just vertically integrate and not have to worry so much about fluctuating commodity prices. And that is basically the inception of Roots Chips and how it was born. And then we've just grown from there. And we just completed our 3rd year in March. So we are currently in our 4th year.
And you have 4 colors of potatoes, right? Or 4 types of potatoes? Or how many
we
do
have
you have?
5. We got 5 flavors and
5
10
flavors.
SKUs. So we have a retail size and then a food service size. So yes, 10 SKUs in total.
I spent a lot of time on your TikTok today, which
Thank you.
I did, which people can check it out at Roots Chips on TikTok. It's very fun, and I think it's very fun that you involve the whole family in it, because it feels like even as soon as I saw your faces today for the first time, I felt like I knew you because I spent time on your TikTok. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about your decision to be TikTokers and farmers and have this business and involve your whole family in it. What was that decision like for you guys?
Yeah, a big part of our social media is to connect the consumer to the farmer. And we feel like we're able to do that really easily through social media. We do silly little videos, we dance, but we also do a lot of very informative knowledge-based videos, and people get to like basically step onto our farm, see the potatoes that we're growing and using to make their potato chips. It's also a great way for free marketing. We're able to spread the word, advertise through social media.
One of the biggest key differentiators of our brand from traditional potato chip brands is the aspect of like traceability and transparency. So we try to use social media for some of that and our website. So, and we're currently in the works of updating our website, but we want to tell people like exactly what kind of soil their potatoes were grown in. It grew in soil that had X amount of organic matter. It had 14 earthworms per cubic foot. It had 7 tons of compost applied per acre. It had 0 pesticide. Just give all this information that no other potato chip really can do. But so we want to use social media, and we're still working on improving that, but we want to really use that to highlight some of those, the transparency and traceability aspects of our business.
I think that's really fun and important. Who comes up with the different things you guys are going to do?
No, it points at me. It's my job, I guess, in quotes. But it's kind of a teamwork. We throw ideas off each other and it grows from there. But it is a big job. It's full-time thinking about videos, creating videos, edit videos, posting videos. And then also we want to communicate with people commenting and really interact with our followers there.
Have those videos helped you create a sales funnel for your business?
Yeah.
Yeah, like our e-commerce is fairly limited because pretty much all our product, we're max capacity at our little production facility. So pretty much everything goes through our traditional distribution channels. So we have limited volume that we can sell online. So whatever we do sells out very quickly. But I think when we get to the point where we have expanded capacity, yes, the e-com world will be great for us. And we hopefully we can sell a lot of product and promote it through TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn, whatever that is.
We believe there's a huge opportunity there.
I think so for sure. And I think you guys are doing a really good job connecting to people and having people understand that really you're growing. I mean, as soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, that's so cool. They grow the potatoes. There they are in the field. There's their tractors. Like you can just see all the stuff. And then you just get this great idea of what you guys are doing and that you're very connected to it and that you're making it. So I think it's working. I say keep doing it for sure. I think it's really fun to watch you and the fam. And it seems like the kids really like it too.
They do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have their own ideas.
Yeah. I've had a couple ideas, but she's the mastermind. Most time I just participate, but but we definitely want to focus on it more in the future. I think it's a great opportunity for us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it does seem like you enjoy it when you're on there for sure.
Yeah.
Like you're having a good time.
Why not have a good time if you're doing it already, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
I saw a company on one of your posts. It's spelled ECDYSIS, Exodus. And they do, how's it pronounced?
Ecdysis.
Ecdysis. It's regenerative practices, scientists and farmers.
You bet. Yeah, we've done quite a bit of that stuff. So currently, like we partner with the Nature Conservancy and we run a model regenerative potato farm. So a lot of our practices are on display. We hold field days. We do stuff like that. A lot is revolved around soil health. But at Ecdysis, what you mentioned, they're a group out of the Midwest and they're doing 1,000 farms initiative. So they're going around to 1,000 farms, collecting soil samples, bug samples, diversity in general of macrobiology and microbiology, all that stuff. But they're checking 1,000 farms across the U.S. that are implementing some sort of regenerative practice, and then they're gathering data on it to be able to provide to the masses to show that X amount of farms are doing these practices. These are the results. So we were part of that, that was cool.
That's really cool, actually. And I was wondering, do you work with Idaho State on your different varieties? I know OSU does a bunch of potato varietal stuff every year. I was wondering, do you participate in the university work that's being done? Help select your potatoes?
We've met quite a few times with the breeders and some of the personnel at the University of Idaho and stuff like that. So they've really helped us select breeds. They are actually cross-pollinating a couple of varieties for us this year to see if it yields in a preferential variety that we're looking that has more desired attributes and stuff like that. So they're cross-breeding, cross-pollinating a couple plants. But yes, we've worked with them in the past, super knowledgeable, very good that way.
So do you pull those potato samples and fry some up and see if they make the best potato chips then?
Yep, that's the plan, but they're still a little ways off. But yes, that's what we're planning on doing.
That's
Yana,
cool.
have you been out to the facility to check it out?
Oh yeah. Yep. It's a great facility.
That's fun that you get to meet the people that we're having on the show and be part of what they're doing. So when I was asking before you guys came on, I was asking Yana if she'd met, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I've been there. I know the family. Like they just had a baby. She knows everything that's going on with you guys. That's so cool."
Yeah. Hey, I know that potatoes are stored in big warehouses. Do you have one of those big warehouses on the farm where you store your potatoes?
Yes,
Okay.
we have cellars. Some people call them cellars or storage, whatever they want to call them. But yes, we do have storage on site for potatoes. Yes.
Can you just tell our listeners what is a potato storage cellar? Some people might not know what that is.
For sure. Yeah, so at harvest time, we harvest the potatoes and we take them to these large buildings. So they're basically large open areas, like kind of dome-shaped buildings. Some are square, depending on how old they are or when they were constructed. But basically, it's just a large open space, and the potatoes are put inside there, and they're stored in there, and they store well in there for a couple reasons, because it's cool and damp, and it has continuous ventilation. So it's always bringing in fresh air to hold potatoes at the correct temperature, because you don't want to hold them too hot or too cold, but just at the right temperature. And you can also introduce water or humidity with the ventilation. So the combination of the ventilation and the fresh air is able to achieve optimum storage qualities for potatoes.
So I've heard people talk about curing potatoes and curing onions and stuff like that. Do you have to do anything once you harvest the potatoes to get them to be optimum potato, besides using your storage facility with controlled temperatures and humidity?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you were exactly right there. So generally, like a common standard practice is once you put potatoes in the cellar, they kind of go through like a physiological change because they've been harvested and dug out of the ground. So they're placed in the cellar. And then generally they talk about a 21-day or approximately 3-week cure time. So during that 3 weeks, the potato goes through this kind of physiological change. They call it the sweat, where it kind of just adjusts to this new place. It adjusts to a new temperature, a new area, and the skin is able to reset itself on the potato and everything. So yes, generally like a 21-day curing time. And you hold it generally like at 55 degrees for those 21 days. And after the curing time, you're able to adjust the temperature. So you're able to drop it down or take it to wherever you want.
Okay, one more potato fact that everybody worries about. So tell us about green potatoes. Like everyone says, don't eat potatoes when they're green.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we don't eat potatoes when they're green.
Yeah, we don't eat potatoes when they green. And yes, they tend to green, whether they're in like natural sunlight or artificial light, they'll tend to green. So it can be in the house or outside the house. But generally you want to cut that off if there is some green, because it does have, I can't remember how to pronounce it exactly, glycolate or something. Yana probably knows this better than me. How do you pronounce it, Yana?
So they're glycoalkalides or solanine.
Solanine.
So
that's the word.
And it's not, the green is not actually solanine or the glycoalkalides, but it's the conversion, that if that conversion occurs, then the potential for the other is there. And so that is considered a chemical hazard. And so, yeah, you got to kind of be careful because it is poisonous. People have poisoned each other using solanine. If you go back far enough, you'll see all kinds of stories about bad things.
On a large scale, usually in a cellar, you're trying to keep the lights off, keep minimal sunlight coming in. So same thing at home. If you have potatoes at home, you want to put them in kind of a dark, damp place to reduce that.
Okay, one last question about solanine. Once it turns green, it never goes back, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would those be potatoes you could cut up and plant later for seed?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how that affects like your emergence and sprouting, if that has much of a negative effect on it. But yeah, I think you should be able to do
that. Okay.
But I'm not the expert on that, so you might have to double check.
You know more than me.
And one thought about potatoes in cellars, like the first time you see it, your mind is blown. Like you can't even imagine, like it's just
they're so big, right?
So many potatoes. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, there's no way all these potatoes can be eaten. And it's just like one seller on one farm. But if you follow us on social media during harvest, we show a lot of the inside of the cellar and the storing of potatoes. So you see like that huge amount of just potatoes.
You can keep getting all your potato questions answered, Sarah, if you just
I
follow
know.
their
It's a
TikTok.
dream of mine.
Yeah.
I always want to know, so do I have to peel this or what am I doing here? Okay.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we want to hear about your specific types of potato chips that you sell. We'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together. Okay, I don't know about you all, but I really want to eat purple sea salt potato chips.
They're
Me
nummy.
too. Yeah. Tell us about the purple sea salt chips.
Oh, they're so good. And they're probably our most popular. So we use a purple potato. It's a really deep, rich, beautiful purple color. And we cook it up. It keeps that beautiful purple color. People always ask us, they're like, this can't be natural, but it's it's the purple potato. And we cook it in avocado oil and put sea salt on it. And that's it. Our purple sea salt potato chip. It's so good. And then we also have a sea salt variety, just a plain sea salt. We have a salt and vinegar, barbecue, jalapeno, and what am I missing?
You got it.
Got him. That's the
Barbecue?
5.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got.
Oh, barbecue. There we go. There.
And I always like to ask people, do you have a chip that you think tells your story best?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah, because they're all, if you turn around and look at the ingredients label, they're all made with ingredients you'll recognize. We are really intentional about each ingredient. We wanted a lot of transparency in our ingredients. So you look at the barbecue, you read through, we have every ingredient listed, very simple, better few ingredients.
Cool. Do you blend up your own seasonings for your flavored potato chips then?
We did initially. Initially, we were like mad scientists in our little kitchen, like mixing stuff around and figuring out
Every
what we
night.
liked. Yeah, it was quite the deal. We had a little mini fryer and stuff like that. So we were doing samples initially. But when we found out what we liked, eventually we knew what we liked and what kind of combination of ingredients and what taste profile. So then now we work with a third-party seasoning blender, and they basically source the ingredients that we want and blend them and send them out.
I saw some of your TikTok videos and you talk about wanting to sit down and relax and have a snack. And every single time you open the bag, your family shows up. I wonder if that's true with your customers too. Do they sit down and tell stories about how everyone comes around and wants to eat their snack?
Yeah, we do hear stories about that. People we get emails every week, we get messages every week, and it just makes it exciting and worth it to hear people are loving our chips. And those TikTok videos, when we sit down and eat our chips and everyone shows up, are based on true events. Our kids aren't sick of our potato chips yet. Every day, we need some chippies.
That's what happened as soon as I told my daughter who I was talking to, because she always asks me before I'm coming down to the studio. She's like, who's your guest? I'm like, oh, they make kettle cooked potato chips. She's like, yum.
Yeah,
I know. I
never
want
get sick
some.
of them.
And our kids love them. They usually label them by the color. So they'll say, I want brown chips, or I want blue chips, or I want orange chips, or whatever it is. But that's how they associate them. It's basically just.
I do like your branding. It's easy for consumers to select their favorite flavor. Once they see the color of the bag, they just know, go grab the blue bag or the brown bag. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Has your packaging changed over time at all, or is what we see the only version you've had?
Lots of changes.
Yeah, we had a lot of wanting to communicate with the consumer and then like our current region and stuff like that. So there was quite a few changes. I know every food entrepreneur probably says if they could go back in time, they would change it. And that's exactly what we would do. But it kind of evolved to where we're at today, and we're pretty content with where this now. I think it successfully demonstrates what we want to communicate to the consumer. I'm sure there'll be some little tweaks that we do to maybe simplify or make it, because that's what's hard, is we want to communicate certain things that maybe, well, for sure, the majority of consumers maybe don't understand, but we still want to try to communicate it.
So I saw you took a big jump and you went to Expo West. with your product and you went to that big, humongous trade show. Can you tell us a few key points for our listeners of what you liked about going to the food show?
It was so fun. We've done a couple just minor food shows, but this was the first thing that we did. And obviously that's the first time we've been to Expo West. And it was just gigantic. It was huge. So many vendors, suppliers, distributors, so many shows and, events, networking events and stuff like that. So it was a little bit overwhelming for sure. So I would definitely recommend somebody, if they're going to Expo West for their first time, try to find somebody that's done it before and get some pointers or some recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there just because we had recently onboarded with a broker to help us manage a couple accounts, and they requested us to be there, but we didn't have any volume to sign up any new retailers anyways. So it was a good opportunity. It's a
little tricky.
Yeah, we could network and connect, and we made some good connections that we have. They're basically kind of on the back burner for when we get there, but it was a good opportunity. It just probably wasn't the best time for us, but we went on the
broker request.
So when you sell your chips, do you sell them mostly in Idaho, or are they available other places? I noticed online there weren't chips for me to buy.
There was one kind of chips. I was thinking we could split a case if they're really there. The red potato chips that said there's some available. Is it true?
Yeah, we have red sea salt on there right now. It's a limited edition. It's similar to our purple, has different flavor. Yeah, our majority of customers are in Idaho and then around like the surrounding states, Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, Nevada, Utah.
Yeah, but mostly probably 95% of our stuff is like Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, for the most part, just those three states, because we're definitely very small and regional. But we do about half our business in retail and half in food service. So we do a lot of restaurants, hotels, resorts, all that stuff with our food service.
100% of your product that you grow is going into your chip bags?
No.
No?
We have lots of room. If I understood the question correctly, you're asking if all the potatoes we grow go into our chips. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. No, we grow excess potatoes, and so a lot of those potatoes go through like the fresh markets. They go to retail, grocery stores.
Do you do farmers markets or anything like that to sell to customers directly, or is it mostly just wholesale to stores in your area?
Mostly wholesale.
Yeah.
And the consumer online.
Now, when we first started out, we did a fair amount of self-distribution. Well, that is how we started out, to get into like a few stores and stuff like that. And then we gradually grew and figured out distribution, which was a mammoth and challenge and very difficult to understand. But now we just primarily just work with distributors, which has been good.
Yeah.
For the most
part.
Yeah,
that self-distribution starting out with.
Tell us what your plans are for scaling, since you have buyers waiting for these chips. What are you going to do about it?
We don't know.
Working hard and dreaming big. And
maybe get a co-packer.
Yeah. So we're working on quite a few different avenues. We're really trying to find what's the best fit, because we're trying to find it's been very time consuming. There's been lots of good that has come from it. We've very much enjoyed getting to it, but it's also been challenging because it's very time consuming, and there's
farming full time
and all that stuff. We're trying to figure out a couple avenues. We had applied for a grant earlier this year, the RFSI grant, which we did not receive, but that was going to be part of our expansion plan. So that kind of took us back to square one. So we're currently looking at a couple options. A co-packing option, which is definitely a viable option. And then we're also still looking at expanding our own facility, but possibly bringing in a partner, because, borrowing money is so difficult and interest rates are so high, that a partner that could assist a little bit with capital and stuff, that would be very beneficial. So we're still kind of just weighing the pros and cons of both, either expanding our own production or going with a co-packer. But there's so many variables. We're just not very experienced in it. So we want to make sure we make the right decision, but we want to definitely do our due diligence. And
I always ask people, are you running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
We don't run 24 hours a day. No. But it feels like we do.
If yeah, I mean, I'm sure because you're really running, multiple businesses
Yeah.
at once, and
It's a
so
lot of
it's
work.
just a lot to do. And one thing sometimes that works for people when they're trying to figure it out and are in a phase where you are is you could just pick one chip, like your best selling chip, and have that co-packed and do the specialty small ones still within your facility and see if that works for you. And then it's not so risky to like move everything out to
That's
another
a good
place or
suggestion.
yeah, I mean, I've done it that way and that like kind of works for me to even figure out if I wanted to go with a co-packer or not. So, I mean, you could just maybe try it and see.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great advice.
I
Since
had
you're,
that same similar thought.
yeah, since you're growing the potatoes, I mean, and you've already like created these great recipes that fit with your values, so that piece doesn't have to change, and you're like providing the essential piece of what those chips become because you're growing these wonderful potatoes, so it's like you could just try it and see what they do with it.
I don't know of any other potato farmers that are making chips on their farm. I think you should expand
We want to. Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
getting a co-packer, or maybe hire somebody that can run your facility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea. The
And
issue
just
like
build
that we
another
have,
warehouse. So you need warehousing for your chips that you make and shipping.
yeah, that was kind of our initial plan. And when some of the grant stuff didn't come out how we wanted it to, we still wanted to do this, but we're just trying to see how to approach it. But I love the idea. You guys both have excellent suggestions, and those are definitely two things that we're looking
We're
into.
full of ideas. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to do
You
them.
You don't have to listen
Love to
at
hear
all.
it. We love
Well, I think probably one of the biggest things that we've learned over the 3 years is not necessarily networking, but be able to ask or solicit counsel or advice from other people is so beneficial. And I didn't know that. And maybe I think that's part of my farmer mentality is like, well, I'll just figure it out and get it done, or whatever it is. And there's good and bad. That's probably mostly bad, but listening to advice from other entrepreneurs or not even entrepreneurs, just people that are familiar with the space and certain things that we go through. There's such good people that can give good advice and counsel and suggestions. So we're all ears and we
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I have one other thing that is an idea. I'm not, we have it here in Oregon, and maybe Janna can tell us if you guys have it there, but we have a lot of grant funding available for makers if they're going to sell things in schools. And I think that your product would be so perfect for like school lunch programs because it's this like, clean, locally sourced chip that kids would love. But our state has some grant funding for people to scale up and get some machinery and equipment, and then they're providing just food to the schools. So I don't know, do you have anything like that in Idaho, Janna?
No, I'm familiar with your program that even the schools have to purchase so much percentage of their budgets from local. And no, Idaho still, we don't have anything similar, anything like that.
Oh man.
Well,
maybe
send this
the
podcast to
Oregon,
those Idaho
yeah,
school food lunch people.
or maybe Oregon would consider you guys local enough
They
to be
might.
able to do that. They might. I mean, who knows? But that would be a cool option if you could get it to work out. But we'll try to spread the word that you're looking for a grant funding to make these cool
Thank you.
chips and get them to the people. Yeah.
One of the things you might think about is, are there other potato or other vegetable farms that would be interested in co-manufacturing in your facility? So if you could get like commitment for production, that would help with funding and stuff, knowing that other people are going to use the facility sometimes help you.
We have a current Excel sheet of about 20 co-packing and private label inquiries to us. So,
See?
but
Had people ask.
Yeah.
not commitments, inquiries. So yeah.
So that might be an option. We always like to focus on the good that people are doing. This is called the Meaningful Marketplace after all. And part of your mission is to give back to the community, which we really love.
Yes.
So can you tell us how you do that and how you support your local community?
Yeah, so we call it Potatoes with a Purpose. It's our mission statement, and we want to do good for the snacker, for the soil, and for the earth, and the planet. And for the snacker, we use, like we talked about, better for you ingredients. We want to provide a good for you snack that tastes good and be transparent. And do you want to talk about the other parts?
Yeah, and then we talk about for the soil. So for the soil focuses a lot around like obviously regenerative agriculture and focusing on all those principles of regenerative agriculture, like cover cropping and keeping root systems in the soil and armoring the soil and diversity of crops and pollinator habitat and so many other things. So that's part of our Potatoes with a Purpose initiative for the soil. And then the last one is for the planet. So for the planet is, so basically we recently just got our plastic neutral certification. And so that's one thing that we're trying to do, is to make sure that we're not polluting anymore, that we're plastic neutral, and we're trying to do our part to make sure we have a cleaner planet. And then in addition to that, for example, we use skin on potatoes. So that's part of what we're doing for the planet, is trying to reduce food waste. So most traditional potato chip manufacturers, they have like a peeling process, and which results in just more waste and whatnot.
And
so
starch
we try to
removal
do,
too.
Yeah.
Lots of potato starch.
Yep. We have a super simple process. We wash the potatoes, slice them, cook them, season them, and package them. So there's no blanching, there's no peeling. So we're trying to do our part to reduce food waste, use the whole potato. So we have skin on potatoes as well, but that's part of our initiative. And then we definitely want to be involved in the community and help out where we can. And so we've done lots of donations with local and regional school districts and FFA groups and stuff like that as well.
I do have one more potato question for you.
Sarah loves the potatoes.
I know. What is the potato's least favorite day of the week?
Friday. It's our favorite though.
I stole that from your Instagram.
It's a snack maker's dream.
What did the potato husband say to the potato wife?
I have eyes for you.
There you go. I only have eyes for you. You knew that.
I love vegetable jokes. We were doing a bunch of stuff based on vegetables, and it was always in a big group of people, and I'd stand up in the front and read vegetable jokes to them. I just love vegetable jokes.
I remember when you did that at the crop up event,
Yeah.
at that dinner. Sarah got up in front of like hundreds of people and told vegetable jokes.
It's
love
so
it.
funny. I was thinking of doing that on Wednesday, actually, because I have to give a talk. So I was like, I'm going to give some jokes.
People can't be mad
Show
about
the
it,
face.
Sarah. You can't go wrong with vegetable jokes at a food event. It makes sense, right?
I might have to do that. I better write myself a note so I don't forget.
Well, we always like to send people directly to you and to the places that you sell. So let's connect people to you one more time, to your website where they can buy your chips, and to places they can go and get them.
Our website is rootschips.com. And then all of our handles on social media outlets are Roots Chips. We're probably most active on Instagram. We have stories there every day and posts.
Yep. And then physically, like in brick and mortar, pretty much you can check on our website, but mostly like in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, some in Utah, but we're available in a lot of independent stores, co-ops, most of the Albertsons in those 4 states, some Whole Foods, some select Whole Foods accounts, select Walmart accounts and stuff like that. So, and then we're in quite a few restaurants and eateries and hotels and resorts in those areas as well.
You are doing such a great job.
Yeah, everything that the choices that you're making and the way that you're running your farm and your family business, it's all wonderful and inspiring to see. And we always like to ask if you have any advice for people that are currently dreaming up a business.
I guess don't wait for everything to be perfect to move forward. We definitely don't have, everything balanced with, family life, farm life, chip business life, but we still keep moving forward. So don't let that hold you back. Sometimes you got to mess up a little bit and move forward, and then also, like we talked about earlier, don't be afraid to ask for advice, and those that are seasoned and experienced, ask for that advice.
Yeah, and just to echo that, I completely agree. If I could go back in time, I think when you first start up a food business, there's a lot of financial constraints and whatnot. So you're very nervous about spending money where you don't have to, but to counsel with people that are experienced. So for example, like we had quite a few challenges with initial food item setup and the legality and formalities of it and stuff like that. It was just a whole new thing we didn't understand. Distribution. Food safety, Janna's on this call, so TechHelp, Janna with food safety, she was phenomenal. So food safety was just a behemoth and it was hard to
Yay,
pass as a mountain.
Yana!
It was our Everest that was very difficult, and Janna really helped like line it out for us, and she had a lot of like templates, and she helped us go through all of the requirements with NSF and our food safety auditor and everything like that. So definitely rely on people that are professional and experienced because it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And
Very good advice.
part of all of us here is to work together with our people that, especially in food safety, are there to help. I always say that when I have new businesses that reach out to ask, me for advice, it's like there are people there that can guide you. They will tell you what you need to do, but you have to like kind of with open arms say, let me know what I need to do instead of being afraid of them,
Great
And I feel like
advice.
most of the time the ROI on it is always tremendous because, like, for example, when Janna helped us with a lot of our food safety prep and auditing and whatnot, she was able to help us apply for a grant that paid for half of her consulting services. So in the end, it really wasn't too much, but I'm sure, spending a couple $1,000 on that yielded very significant returns for us. And I'm sure a lot of the other things too. But yes, like you said, come and teach us and help us. And it's great to rely on some experts and professionals.
Well, it was so great to meet you both today and to hear about your business and your family and your farming. And that we're just excited about what you do. And we hope that everybody goes and gets your chips. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It was awesome being here.
Thank you.
We want to thank our listeners for listening to the show. We love our food community and couldn't do this without you. If you want to reach out to Sarah and Sarah, you can message us on our Instagram, Meaningful Marketplace Podcast. We record Meaningful Marketplace live every week, and you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms like iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. We would like to thank Joy of Creation Production House. Thank you for helping us to tell the stories of food entrepreneurs. If you would like to be a guest on the show, send us an email, booking@thejoyofcreation.com. And until next week, everybody, bye.
Bye for now.